Was he loved by his mum? What was his babyhood like? Did he have much playmates? Did he enjoy life just like most other babies? These are questions that I will never have answers. It was on a dreary February afternoon in the second week of the month when I first met him. There he was. He struck me immediately with those huge limbs tucked under his fluffy coat. His deformity was evident to me. His left hand was disproportionately large, almost as big and bulky as his head. His feet were enlarged as well, though not to the same monstrous extent as his left hand. My immediate question was, could he use his left hand at all? How about his ability to climb and walk? Could that be impaired too? Somehow he must have heard me, for before I knew it, he was already up on a branch. So it seemed his agility had not been affected at all, or else he wouldn't have made it that far. But before I could make more observations and acquaint him better, he was gone already. I did my homework. Initially, I suspected that he might have been suffering from hemihyperplasia or a congenital form of lymphoedema, such as Milroy's disease. However, the characteristics and pattern of his enlargements did not align with either of these conditions or related ones. It was only after catching a glimpse of this juvenile soles in the footage that I concluded that he was actually suffering from Proteus syndrome. The pathognomonic cerebriform connective tissue navy could just be made out. An incredibly rare sporadic genetic disorder. Sadly, the condition would worsen over time and there is no cure for it. But I really needed to examine his soles to be sure about the diagnosis. But it wasn't until nearly another 9 months later before I could stumble upon him again. And to make visual inspection even harder, it was already very late in the day. But this encounter revealed more information about this poor boy. First, he had been expelled from his natal troop to lead a life on his own. Second, he had been accepted into a bachelor troop affiliated with Nuller troop. Third, he was about 3 years old, a bit too early for him to be expelled. This poor boy had been fending for himself for some time already. He was low-ranking and skittish in this bachelor troop, possibly because of his deformities. So this was what they had been all waiting for, a sprinkle of beans. He didn't get much beans, but at least he got himself a small sweet potato in the end. Good thing was, the growing darkness helped him keep it, but it also made any further observation impossible. The only thing I had accomplished was to decide on a name for him, Murphy. But as luck would have it, I should met him again just a mere week later. Again, I never got a chance to get close enough to him to examine his soles for those cerebriform connective tissue nevi. But watching him fill himself to the brim was satisfying. No doubt, though, that his deformities had grown even bigger. It had to be hard work for him to carry those extra dead weight around. But as he was still agile enough to run around and mind his own business, I didn't think too much about it then. But things must have taken a dive south in the interim for him. For when I bumped into him again nearly 3 weeks later, he appeared to be alone and abandoned by the bachelor troop he was in. He was in Dane's troop's territory. As soon as he began to walk, I realized he had finally been dragged down by the deformities he was carrying. He could no longer keep up with the bachelor troop he joined. And the last time I saw him was nearly a week later. Alone again, he was crying. Regrettably, I had depleted my stash of treats. Providentially, one of the regular suppliers fortuitously happened to pass by, and I hastily managed to procure 2 bananas and a handful of beans for him. When I returned with the goodies and as I sat down, he cautiously approached me, intently scrutinizing my face before gingerly clambering onto my lap and collapsing into it. This was the first instance in my nearly 8 years of documenting these primates that I had been in such close proximity to one. He fed from my left hand while I was able to palpate his left sole with my right. It felt like cerebriform nevi, a telltale sign of Proteus syndrome, a genetic condition that would only worsen. After he had finished eating, he clambered down from my lap, perhaps perked up by the sustenance I had provided, and scurried back into the woods beyond the fence. I never saw him again, and his fate remained unknown until I chanced upon a message left in the comments section a good month later. It read that Murphy had been taken away by the Agriculture, Fisheries and Conservation Department, which manages the countryside, including Monkey Hill. Presumably, Murphy was discovered by a visitor in a state of weakness with flies swarming around him by a concerned visitor at Monkey Hill.